welcome to the Fellowship Style Stage. I'm Ashley Hodges, your Vice President and host for this session, and I'm here with the amazing Josh Goldsworthy. So Josh, you are an integral part of your family's business. What does that mean and what do you do within the business?
So within the business, there's 4 of us now that are Goldsworthys. My grandparents are retired, so it's my parents and me and my sister. Me and my sister are trying to push kind of the creative side along. So days like today, we've also had our team this year win twice the L'Oreal Colour Trophy, BHAs, going to Sound International, trying to bring along the next generation of our team coming through. So yeah, creatively coming up with the imagery that we see either online or as press and things like that, and then just really trying to push us into the next kind of generation of work.
That's really cool. And you're also a L'Oreal guest artist. So what does that role entail?
Again, it's doing amazing things like this for the fellowship, going all around the country, either educating or delivering work, could be imagery, working backstage at Fashion Week and various things like that. It's been an unbelievable year with them so far.
That's really good. So you've got a beautiful model in front of you.
Yes, this is Ellie.
You've got the most amazing braids. I'm so impressed.
Unfortunately, we're going to completely cover these, but...
What is it that you're going to be up to?
Okay, so today I'm working with, it's a deconstructed wig. Quite often in my creative work, I would say mainly because of where we're based in Swindon, we just don't have that clientele that wants to kind of have the punky haircuts, the really kind of choppy editorial stuff that we see, especially in the hairdressing industry when it comes to the awards. So I've really kind of based myself on making wigs and using that as a versatile tool when it comes to photo shoots and shows. So what I'm going to show you today is one of those deconstructed wigs. So it's something that I've already shown as a demonstration model so that you can kind of see the process and how we build an image for stage and show. Equally, this has actually made an appearance this year in our British Hairdressing Awards collection. So we've been shortlisted, myself and my sister, for Wales and South West. Thank you very much. But yeah, I just want to kind of show you the ethos and how we build that, the products that we use to get it to that point. So I'll just begin, as you say, some lovely braids. You've still got to do everything nice and neat and beautiful and given that kind of head-hugging shape when it comes to wigs. So here we've got, Ellie's just got 4 cornrows there. That just give us a really nice neat base to work from. Just through the back here, I've folded up the tails of Ellie's hair and we've just kind of gripped those in just to keep that head hugging shape. On its own, a beautiful editorial look that probably could be on the catwalk for Fashion Week, but this is just our base.
And have you prepped it with any product to get the braids in, or did you do it with just water?
Yeah, so as a L'Oreal guest artist, I think we would all say that Pli is our go-to product for everything. It's brilliant. You can really build that product into hair, keep using that, drying it in. In this instance, we've actually used it wet. It's just far more pliable and malleable for me to work with my hands. It just keeps everything nice and clean. It dries, and then once we go to brush this out after this, her hair will still feel amazing and look amazing. This is our first kind of base. So if I spin Ellie around here very slightly, I'm just going to kind of explain the situation here of what we've done to build this. So this is actually a mesh that comes from a washcloth, kind of one of those ones that you give yourself a good scrub in the shower. I've then kind of cut those into sections. So it's a section through the back, just one through the crown, 2 through the crown here, 1 on each side, and then a fringe. So we're going to actually rebuild this back onto the head and slowly grip those on. We've sewn through tracks, weft hair here. So this started as a level 10, just blonde hair, and we've used Majorelle 645 through the roots, and then that's just kind of blended out into this kind of ombre effect, which you're going to notice once we've built this. It really kind of gives a pop around the eyes, that depth that sits through here with a lighter colour coming through the top. And that's an 834 and an 803 mixed together through those ends. So it just gives us this really beautiful colour, and hopefully when you see that all kind of built in a second. It's been tonged on a really tiny chopstick tong, and then we've prepped that with the full volume extra mousse. So again, this just gives me a really, really beautiful base, just that little bit stronger than Pli. So for me, that's great when I want to work with volume and texture like this. So if I just get Ellie to hold that for me there. So I'm just going to work these through. What I'm using is a wide tooth comb just to kind of break the curls up, but I don't want to completely deconstruct them. I want to work with that shape and texture. So it's not about kind of pulling each one apart, but just kind of expanding those and giving me some shape and some volume.
So you'd almost start dressing it out before you place it on the head?
Yeah, just purely because of the base that I've built it on. Like if this was a client's real hair, you know you can kind of have that pull and that play from their own scalp. But for me, if I put this on and I grip this and I don't feel the base is firm, I'm just pulling my hard work away from the head. Alternatively, if this was a catwalk show and I wanted to get Ellie to walk out and I really wanted to know that it was secure and I wasn't doing the hair on stage, I'd probably sew this into the braids just to give me a really solid base. But in this instance, just for time and for the ease of what we're about to do, just gripping it through that mesh base. So again, it lends itself to the application. It's a really solid, firm base because it's going into our braids. So spin that one for me, Ellie.
And do you find this an easier way to get the looks that you want, building it up into individual pieces rather than working with whole wigs?
Yeah, because I find sometimes, especially for models, it's a long time wearing a wig on stage. It can feel really uncomfortable under the lights like this. It can feel really hot. So having something that you can kind of take apart and take with you, pack down and things like that, it just gives a little bit more breathability, a little bit more versatility as well. So if I decided that I want to reuse this, but I want the top to be that little bit shorter, I could swap out the top section and add in a new piece.
That's a really great way of looking at it.
Thank you. So yeah, so just as I start to kind of deconstruct these now, so I'm just pulling them through, I'm quite happy to have some a little bit more solid than others, but just there you now start to see that that texture kind of falls through. We get just these little kind of wispy tendrils through the ends, but we're still keeping the strength and structure. Now, the go-to product again for every L'Oreal stockist and guest artist is Savage Panache. So this is kind of your mix between a hairspray and a dry shampoo. This really amplifies. So I'm just going to kind of give this a little blast now, just as we shake that through. And then from here, we're just going to start to build our shape. So if I turn Ellie there so that we can catch that on the camera. What I'm going to do is, as I say, this has actually been made to Ellie's head shape. So you can see there it stretches from side to side. I just need to make sure that we're down into the nape. And all I'm going to do is just slide a couple of grips through those side areas there just to secure us through. So again, it's going through the braid, into the head, well not physically into the head I hope, and across the mesh. So that's just going to hold us there. And again, I'll grip down into the nape just so that if she does walk and she's on stage, it's not kind of lifting away from the head shape.
So the tidy braids really are a foundation to everything for this look.
Unfortunately, they don't get seen after this bit, but yeah, they are a great foundation for everything. And to be honest, even if I was going to use a full wig, I'd either tend to go for a nice kind of wig wrap that keeps it really flat, or if I'm looking for ease and speed, especially if it's going to be something that's shot front on and you're not seeing kind of the bulk through the back, the braids kind of keep everything flat visually here, and we can kind of lose that if it's a quarter wig or a frontal. So again, just into the nape there, just to keep that secure.
And you said that you would sew this in if it was for a catwalk or something like that.
So just, we're using a track stitch. So anybody that does extensions, it's the same sort of thing here that keeps the weft to the base. So that same sort of motion of just stitching across the top, I know that's never going to come away until I cut that away. So from there, we're just going to start to build our sections up. So here's my sides. Again, working with Ellie here, I'm just going to place that right at the front, around to her head, and just make sure, perfect. So again, just gripping through the base into the head. We're just going to really whip through building this up now. Some of this I've already kind of broken up backstage before we came on. It's a long process of me detangling. It's not something that's that entertaining to watch. So some of it is pre-done here. So, and I'll distress that little bit more when we come to the final execution of the look.
And I know you've said that this is more that kind of photographic sort of look, but actually, if a client just wanted something really different for an evening, this is such a quick, easy way for them to have completely new hair.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have like a heavy stock of wigs that we've made for various shows and shoots. I'm more than happy always to kind of lend those things out to clients if they go into something that's either a showpiece or an event. Equally, if it's just something that's a little bit of fun, it really does lend itself to that. And then, again, like you say, it's just the versatility of another service you could offer to a client. So this is just, we're going to add into that crown, so now we're starting to fill that shape through the back. And then I've just got 2 pieces here through the top that will give us our full base, and then we'll start to build this shape. Now, the very first time that I presented a deconstructed wig like this, we left it just really in its natural raw form, so use the volume within the hair just to kind of cascade down, build that shape. But when we came to shooting it for the British Hairdressing Awards, it was about getting that a little bit more clever with the shape and kind of adding things into it. So again, today, I always feel with most looks, you always tweak something, you always make something that little bit better the next time you do it. So building upon that base and building upon the look gives you that ability to kind of create something new. And then I think also sometimes in every mistake we make something new. So it's just about having something different each time. I'm just actually going to pop our fringe in first of all. So as you can see with this fringe section, I've kind of pre-cut this so that it sits just on Ellie's forehead brow line there. What you're going to start to see is that depth, because we've kind of lost that length through the ends, and this is what I was saying when it comes to the colour, it's purposely making sure that where that starts to blend through sits and exists around this kind of eye line. So Amy, my makeup artist today, has really kind of brought that through with the eyes. We're getting a real kind of deep kind of shape and colour through here, and that just mirrors through. So when we dress this through, you're going to get a real kind of dark band that comes, these light pieces that kind of cascade over the top and then fill out through the ends. So it just gives that lighter texture of the curl through the ends. It stops it being quite so solid. But by making sure that that length is just where we start to get the blend, we lose that through the fringe, which is perfect for me. So it just gives us a real kind of focus, a focal point through that fringe area. So yeah, that's perfect. Right, so we're just going to dress this one out again.
And what have you sewn the tracks onto?
So it's just, like I said, it's like a scrub mat. So like almost like you would get those loofahs if you took that apart, the kind of mesh that you get within it.
Oh, okay.
But this is something that I just found on Amazon. I was looking for something that would kind of replicate a base that you might get for a wig, or a base that you could sew something onto. And I just thought with mesh, it would be ideal. One, I could sew through it quite easily, and two, I could grip through that without having kind of a material base that I'd maybe struggle to get something through. Every hairdresser likes a haberdashery, don't they?
We do.
We're all picking up little things. Everybody's kit's building with something new.
I found a new art shop in London the other week, and I just thought it was the most amazing place I'd ever been.
Yeah, you just continue to come back, pick up something new, bring back, experiment with it. So again, so there's that soft texture, and then this is just here, one of those longer pieces, so that I'm going to dress those so that we start to get that break of this colour over the top.
And when you approach the colour and cut for each individual piece, would you pin it to a head so that you can see exactly where the shape is to start with?
Yeah, definitely. Like, so with this, like I say, was made specifically for Ellie. So I had Ellie come into the salon and measured up the sections so that they would fit to her head perfectly. And then knowing from that point where that area would be for the colour to sit around the face. Obviously, not always blessed with the same models for every kind of show, but Ellie's become quite the muse for us at the salon. She was third overall at the L'Oreal Colour Trophy this year for one of our girls, Charlotte, won our region, so won Western, has appeared in our British Hairdressing Awards, and she's a local girl as well, so it's lovely to have somebody that you can kind of continuously use, bring in, experiment with, and obviously she's a beautiful girl as well, so that really kind of adds to it.
And do you try to cultivate in-house models as much as you can?
100%. I think with the way the world's going, things are getting so expensive, and this is no knock on any model that's applying their trade and earning money. They're all fantastic, but if you can get a mix, also for me, go in and see in the imagery that people have created for the British Hairdressing Awards, you can sometimes see familiar faces that crop up regularly. That's because they're great models.
Yeah.
And they've got great haircuts, and they obviously model fantastically, but for me, I want to be able to see an image and know that I created that 100%, and it's not something that you can kind of decipher who did that colour, who did that cut. And I think we're starting to work towards that now. I think people are becoming far more unique with their model choices. It's not just about kind of having your big bookers in the hairdressing industry anymore.
And also, if you can cultivate and look after that model's hair, you know exactly how it's going to work with what you want to do when you're on set as well, aren't you?
That is exactly true. So with Ellie, she's got the best conditioned hair ever. She had that before she came to us, but we're really looking to kind of maintain that forever for her. And I think when it comes to things like the colour trophy, it's all about nourishment, whose hair is still in great condition post-colour. I think we sometimes, with awards, over-push hair, start to kind of push the boundaries of it and push it to its limits, and therefore it doesn't have that reflectiveness, that high shine, that beauty element that that's what we should all be aiming for. Having said that, she's ours, so hands off.
Nobody's going to steal Ellie from you, we promise.
So just popping the final ones in through this crown area. So as you can see now, we've really kind of filled that shape through. Everything kind of connects. So if I turn Ellie before we start to distress anything, you get a full connection of colour, and you should now start to see that little kind of peekaboo of the dark, where we're getting the depth here around the face and this lightness through here. Now what I'm going to do is start to kind of break this up with my fingers, build a shape. I'm going to be using the Savage Panache as I did before, using the hairspray here. I have a final 6 fix, which is like a really strong finishing product as well. And then we've also got the Super Dust. So with the Super Dust, it's a really fine mattifying product. So as we start to pull this out, we can add the Super Dust in. It almost recreates a backcombing effect within hair without really kind of pushing the hair to be backcombed. So I'm just going to start getting my hands into this shape and start building something for you.
And when you're about to dig into creating a shape, is there anywhere in particular that you would start? Would you start at the back? Would you start at the front? Is every single one different?
Yeah, every single one's different. I mean, when it comes to a shoot, it's about using all the hair you have at play. So if we're looking at that front on, I'm looking now through the camera, I'm thinking I could bring all this hair forward. So fortunately, because it's being shot from the front or side on, I can actually manipulate that and lose that whole back section by just gripping in here and bringing this all round. Add a bit of wind into that, it's going to give us fullness. But for this, because we want a 360 element, it's about getting, first of all, a blend. Obviously, we've put in sections that are separate, but it's getting a continuity that makes this believable, makes this look as if it was her own hair. And then 2, it's kind of finding a focal point. I think with every look, you need at least one focal point that draws you in. For me, it's that colour, that little pop around, almost that letterbox of colour around the eyes. So it's making sure that I'm drawing the attention to that and I'm not distracting from that.
And do you find colour a really crucial element in the styles that you create?
100%. I think as hairdressers, I know we have colourists and cutters, but I think that's still a partnership. No look is complete without the other. For myself and for my team, we do both. Myself and my sister have just completed the L'Oreal Colour Specialist program, and it really goes into depth into kind of how we see colour.
Congratulations, it's a hard program.
It is a very hard program, but it's definitely worth it in the end. So I'm looking forward to graduation next year and Congress this year. But yeah, just teaming up colour, knowing the process of colour, what it does for hair, what it can do, and kind of knowing your colour theory to make sure you execute the best results possible. But yeah, for me, I think obviously there's lots of imagery that's black and white and that looks effective and fantastic as well, but I think colour really brings out a final image. I think brings out our clients in the salon. That's our highest percentage of work. I think for ourselves, we're probably about 55% colour turnover as a business, so why would you ever want to neglect that and not show that off in all your imagery and your awards?
No, most definitely. So you're going in and breaking this up now with your fingers?
Yeah, so I'm just starting to kind of make some finer pieces. So like I said, I didn't want to over break this up beforehand. I'm now just kind of getting some slightly finer pieces, so just breaking those in half, just pulling that apart, and then letting that kind of fall through. So it's still keeping that texture, but we're now starting to get those little ribbons of the blonde come over the top there. And it's just then, as you do that, the shape starts to build itself out. So we're just getting that little bit wider.
And it's great because something like this on set, you can just keep building out and getting bigger and bigger and
Definitely.
Getting multiple images.
When it comes to shooting it, I think I personally anyway, tend to go in a little bit more formed and set like I've just done there. And then you shoot it and you're kind of like, yeah, can we push it, can we push it? You're almost scared to first of all go in with a brush and completely deconstruct something. But quite often, those final shots, I've always been a fan of 10 more frames at the end. So when you think you've got it, just kind of go, well, just do 10 more and let the model play, let the model do something different, or add some wind element into it, or just do something that's been different to what you've been shooting. And quite often they become your hero shots.
What would be your key piece of advice for getting prepped for a photo shoot?
Be prepared. There's nothing worse than turning up on set and not having however many images you plan on having for, say, the British Hairdressing Awards. You need your 4 images, or if you're going there as a hairdresser for a different project and it's not necessarily your project, know your brief, know what you're doing, know the kind of thought process behind what you should be executing. Because if you don't, you're kind of faking your way through the day, you don't enjoy the day, and then quite often you're not actually executing the plan for yourself or for your booker. But yeah, definitely always try and have and also, like we just said, have something up your sleeve. People want you to create something, but if you see a vision within it, be free to kind of move away from it and add to it, but definitely try and give them what they want first of all.
And would you approach a photo shoot or a show for yourself in a different way that you would, say, if you were doing it for a brand?
To a degree. I think I've been in hairdressing now 16 years, and you start to kind of get to a point where I have probably my own personal style. So you kind of come into it knowing, okay, this is how I see something, this is how I expect this to have gone, or this is what I want this to be doing. And then it's just kind of getting your team on board. Like we're really lucky that we've got like Ellie, I said earlier on about Amy, my sister. We've got a really lovely team that we've been building when it comes to events, and you get a collaborative space where you're all kind of singing from the same hymn sheet, but you're all wanting to push each other and expand things. So I definitely think when it's mine, I probably maybe sometimes put more pressure on it. When I'm going and doing something for somebody else, I maybe enjoy it a little bit more because the pressure's off. I don't know if that's probably the right way to do it, but that's how I tend to manage things. Okay, so we just soften that out. Like I said, we're just going to use a bit of the texture just to add a little bit of shape, and then I'm just going to grip some little areas up.
So is this adding some structure into the curls?
This is just adding a little bit of texture and a bit of lightness, so that when I kind of bring this out now, it's going to hold itself. So you see suddenly when we pull this, it's not just falling exactly where it was before. That dust kind of builds structure within the hair, adds another element to it.
And you have primarily done the majority of this with your hands. Do you tend to work that way in general?
It really, I think with curly hair, yes. The minute you kind of put a brush into this, it completely takes a new identity. You can kind of destroy the curl. But yeah, I like to kind of get my hands in there, especially with textured hair. Just kind of building shape, kind of being a bit more freeform. But yeah, I think horses for courses, it really can, it can go anyway. Right then, let's start to add a little bit of something in here.
And when you're building shape, do you have something in your mind already where you want to take the shape, or do you kind of allow the hair to tell you where it wants to go?
Actually, just kind of like knowing where I want to leave hair, maybe sometimes a bit like cutting and colouring, where you want to leave something and when you want to take something away. So you're just kind of looking at where needs something to be added.
And the aim for this one is that 360-degree look.
Just having something that from each angle we're starting to see something new, or we're not kind of neglecting something. Like I said, we want a focal point. That focal point for us was the area around the eyes, but having something that when she does turn, we're kind of seeing little pops of colour, so you're seeing some of that depth, some of that lightness.
And you yourself, you've travelled the world doing session and so many incredible things. And is it that sort of thing that you've brought back into your family business and showcase as a L'Oreal guest artist?
Yeah, definitely. I think the session side of things has really been my difference maker, I suppose, within my business. My dad has been very successful in the hairdressing industry. He's done editorial and things like that, but actually going backstage at Fashion Week, it was my way of kind of creating my own name, and it not always being kind of one that was associated with my dad, but also helping build the brand, build the salon name, bring another element to us. And then I think every young hairdresser, if you talk to them, Fashion Week, something now that they really kind of aspire to do. So having that as a string to the bow to our salon, we've got one of our girls going out to New York next week for a week. Having that as something that you can offer somebody is brilliant. Like suddenly you're setting yourself apart from all the other salons around you.
That's incredible.
Thank you.
This is looking beautiful.
Thank you.
What sort of thing will you be finishing it with?
So like I say, we've got the two hairsprays there. The 6 Fix is just that kind of, it's a multi, you can really layer it up, build that, add shape. So as we talk about, why don't we add a little bit in there?
So this would be your on-set companion to be able to keep playing around with it and...
Yeah, I would say this is more towards that final process of just finishing a look. You want to kind of place and make sure that it's holding where you want it to. Whereas the larger spray there, the Pure Infinium, that one is more maybe your slightly workable. It's still a strong hairspray, but that little bit softer.
Yes, you'd be able to utilise it and keep building on the shape. Whereas this is more of your finisher. As you've built the shape, you can really see the colour working with itself.
Thank you, that's our key kind of element there.
That was the point.
Yeah. I'm glad it's coming through.
It's coming through. It's nice when ideas come into fruition.
Well, it's a massive compliment coming from you. Ashley, you are the queen of colour.
Why, thank you very much.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get Ellie to stand for us here, just so that I can take a good look around the head and just see what needs to be tweaked as she stands. Thank you, Ellie.
Incredible.
So we're just looking to kind of add those little final areas. I want these little tendrils that kind of fall down. Again, when somebody's sat down, it's hard to see that where the hair's falling sometimes. So just always try to get my models up just for the last few moments. Just.
Curly hair suits you so much.
You've had that a few times now, haven't you, Ellie? Okay.
Amazing. Do you want to do a recap for everyone on what it is?
Yeah, so as we say, it was split into kind of various sections. So we're building that shape up from the back where we had those braids underneath, adding those elements in. So it's one long one through the back, small piece through the crown, two sides, kind of your skull cap section here, and then a fringe. All the hair's been sewn into a base that's then gripped into the head. And then it's just, I mean, this could be straight, this could be waved, this could be textured. But for me, it was just a really tight chopstick. We've built that hair up using the full volume mousse. and then it's just about expanding and building the shape, and every time we do this differently. So I really hope you've enjoyed kind of seeing the process of how we come up with our show looks and our photographic looks. Thank you so much, Sashi.
Thank you. I mean, the look was beautiful, and all the knowledge and the information on photo shoots and things is invaluable to people. So thank you very much, Josh.
No, thank you. Thank you, Ellie.
Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you soon.